Hello, 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 hello. How are we today? How you doing? How is your Tuesday going? I hope you're all doing well today. Everybody doing good, I hope. Ooh, let me see something. Filters. How we doing, everybody? Good? Bad? How are you feeling about the news? I know people were doing a monumental meltdown this morning. I know people were doing a monumental meltdown this morning. Oh man, it's kind of funny. Like, obviously, we're gonna talk about Nicolas Jackson here in a minute. On Saturday's live, when I as KG put it, when I soft launched this Jackson news, I was like, man, people are gonna be so mad. People are going to be so mad about what happens. It's going to be very mixed though, because what's so funny is there's people here in here. I'm just going to start it off while everybody files in, and I'm going to ask Nicolas Jackson, good, bad. Why am I not mad? I just have different opinions than most people. Let's see. I'm actually curious because there are a lot of people who quite rate Nicolas Jackson, but I'm unsure how. Oh my god, is it that bad? I'm just asking as a player how whether you think he's good or not. Don't take it as, oh, are we switching from Mbumo or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. How is Nicolas Jackson as a player, good or bad? What is the view on this? Should I have put middle? You know what? Let's like, you're right. Hold on. I'm gonna give you an option. I'm not gonna, good or bad is too binary. Good, okay, definite upgrade. Let's do good, okay, and a definite upgrade on what we have, and bad. Let's go that way. That would be a better one. Three options is necessary. Three options is necessary. I'm curious. So let's see, that definitely took from some of the good votes so far. Seems like no matter what Ineos go for, you are happy with it. That doesn't make any sense. IDK, just don't vote if you don't have an opinion. It's funny because it's gonna split so much opinion. It's gonna split so much opinion. Jackson is comparing Werner and Darwin isn't fair. Darwin is a significantly better player than Werner. The price counts to the purchase. Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Not intelligent. Jackson is actually really an intelligent footballer, funnily enough. Yeah, there's a lot of people like he's a really funny one because I think to the casual fan, Jackson is a bad player. To people who like in the game, Jackson is really highly rated by a lot of people. It's really funny, and there's a few players who are like this. I'm not saying people are right or wrong either way. It's just opinions right now at the end of the day, but it is really funny. I knew he was going to be extremely what's the word for it? It's going to split opinions really badly. Down. Everything's okay.
How many goals do we need between the front three?
40, in my opinion. Well, okay, maybe that's too many. In order to get into Europa League, divisive, yeah. In order to get into Europa League, I think we need um I think we need I think we need 60 plus goals in the team. I think we'll need at least 35 from the front three, and more from the rest. More from the rest. Yeah, I think we'll need 35 from the front three, and more from the starting front three, and more from the rest. But 35 to 40 in my mind. I think that to compete for the league, you need 50 from your front three. Yeah, I would say so. But to get into Europe, you need 35 to 40. I'm just polling this first, and then we'll get into discussing everything. For sure. Like, the thing is, again, like, just people just have different opinions. It's it to me, though, the whole, like, every time somebody says something and someone's like, oh, that's gaslighting, like, that stuff annoys me, because it's like some people just have different opinions on a matter. Who said no club was in for Jackson? That's not even true. Like, that's not true. A lot of clubs have actually expressed an interest in Jackson right now. Hang on, I'm trying to find something. Why can't I find it? What's going on here? Let me go find my things here. Hold on a second. I go find my opinions on Jackson, because I've held an opinion on Jackson for quite a long time. It has nothing to do with, like, turning because any else want him now. You turned your opinion. Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay. There's no one better.
No one
yeah.
better than
I agree
Momo
with
for
you. We'll get to it in 1 second.
65
Sorry, I'm just trying to find
meter.
something. And then we'll get into talking, because I got a few things. To speak about. Got a few things to speak about today. All right. So, poll is interesting one. Okay, so 46% say bad, 45% say okay, definite upgrade, good is 7%. So it's a slight majority that think he's better than what we have. Slight majority that think he's better than what we have. So let's get into it. I've got some things to talk about. We'll talk about Jackson first. We'll talk about Jackson first. And look, I mean, I was thinking about this today, and I went back and I looked. Leeds have signed Sean Longstaff. Damn, another one we missed out on. Son of a bitch. We missed out on Sean Longstaff, guys. I'm sorry to say. It's over. United's 5-year pursuit of Sean Longstaff is over. He's going to Leeds. We won't be getting Sean Longstaff. Look, I mean, I just something I want to mention first. I was thinking about, like, where I'm at on things, because people were really, really, really mad this morning. And when you started to see stuff like about, obviously, Liverpool pursuing Isak and stuff like that, you know what I mean? You started to see, like, people really melting down, because they were like, ooh, damn, calm down, everything's okay.
Twitter went
this is what I'm talking about. Yeah.
On the Mumo news, and looking at your Twitter comments every time you tweet is like everyone has their pitchfork out.
I know. And the thing about it is, like, it's hard to have any kind of nuanced conversation on these things. This video that I did didn't get a lot of views, because it was not like a transfer one, and it wasn't intended to. I woke up at, like, 3 in the morning one day. If you watched this video, let me know in the comments. You'll remember. I watched this video. I made this video. I woke up at 3 in the morning before the Europa League final, because I was so stressed about the state of United, and I was so worried about the final. And I said in that video, and I said at that time very clearly, and it's 100% my belief, that we're about finished. Like, we are basically a mid-table club. We lose that, like, that Europa final was like a chance. Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
Are you still confident or getting worried?
On Mbumo, we'll talk about that in a second. I spoke about that and I said, like, we're on the brink here. Like, this is where we are. We're not in the same market as these big clubs anymore right now. At the present, we're riding fully on the fact that we have some history and we have a big fan base. And I accepted that. We lose that final. Manchester United, as you know it, is dead. That is the death note. That's it. It's over. Okay? It's over. If we don't win and we don't get that financial stimulus package, everything's okay.
Do you know the gap in valuation that's being talked about? Also, I would be looking at another left back.
I'll definitely answer that as well. I definitely will answer that as well. We're without that financial sort of stimulus to go and spend money. United will have to claw their ways up the table to anybody else. They will have to claw up the table to get back where they need to be. You know, they will. And we didn't have that. We're just there by name. As a football club, it's you know, it's 2025, guys. Sir Alex retired, what, 2013? It's been 12 years. 12 years of this. We've spent lots of money during that time. We've spent way too much money during that time. The final 3 years, kind of post-COVID, you know, essentially demolished our situation where we were as a football club financially. We borrowed from the future, and we borrowed from the future, and we borrowed from the future. And then we couldn't borrow from the future anymore. And I looked at it and I said, we're just not competing with these people anymore. We're not competing with these people anymore. It was about a timeline. United are not competing with these clubs anymore. We are competing to get back to be able to compete with those clubs. We are doing so. Now, because United is so big, calm down, everything's okay.
What was the point of the takeover, really?
Because United is so big, and because United have such a huge fan base. Guys, I will get to all of these. You interrupted my monologue.
Okay. Ineoso are a solid window,
Yeah, they
making
do,
him come mid-season. They need to get deals over the line. And I also think they owe it to regular folks they've sacked. It's going to take time, though.
I agree with all of that as well. What our job is now as a club is to get back to where we compete with these guys. To compete with them. We're not in the same market as Liverpool, Arsenal, City, and even Newcastle. None. We're just not. And so it doesn't bother me what those clubs do, because we can't compete with them at this point in time. We just can't. It is a reality. I accepted that months ago. I accepted that. If you accept that, that doesn't make our situation okay. But there's a factor when you can sit there and say, that's where we are. That's the truth of it. We are there. How do we get out of it now? Now, the advantage that we have here, I'll read that out. Any idea what the price for Jackson is? We will talk about that in 2 seconds, okay? Satyajit, we'll talk about that in 2 seconds. The advantage we have here is because we are a big club with history, with a big fan base, with everything involved, we can build up to them. We can build back up to all of this. We can do that. But that is the truth. Like, you can accept it or you can't. We're there because we are. Like, I've talked about this with these deals. We can't do more business beyond the Mbumo thing, which we will again discuss. But our competition at the moment is to compete with Brentford, Bournemouth, Aston Villa. Many underestimate Amorim's full preseason academy. Yes, we'll talk about that too. That's who we're competing with at the moment. And you can accept it or you can't. And if you can't, you're going to be angry. And I'm telling you to accept it because it is the truth. It is the only thing that is true. That is where we are. We've been performing so poorly for such a long time, and we've been bailing ourselves out with buying older players to come in and do something for a year or two that then we have to pay off. Look at the way that our transfer strategy has been for such a long time. Look at what we've done in the market for such a long time. Look at the players who have saved us. So this is just where we are at this point in time. Why should you accept it? You don't. It's just called being a grown-up and having maturity. You can look at something and actually intend to understand it or not. That's up to you. That's your choice. But if you want to do it or you don't want to do it, that's entirely on you. If you want to be angry, that's totally fine. You can be. But the anger is not misplaced, but it should have been building for 15, 20 years, right? This isn't a today problem. Giannis rate Ineos regime until now from 1 to 10. I don't know how to rate it. I think their first 3 months were a disaster, like a 1. I think from November onwards, they've done a lot of the right things. Probably 7 or 8 or something like that. So we don't compete that. We don't compete with those things. We don't compete with these clubs. It's been going for such a long time. It's been going for such a long time. It's been heading in that direction for such a long time. And, and it's going to be a difficult road out of it. But that's what has to be done in order to do it, in order to get there. So that's why I'm in the position that I'm in. I accept where we've been, and then I accept that it's a hard road to get out of that. You either can or you can't, that's all. Like, I don't know. That's just the reality of it. It's been so bad. That we haven't been able to get there. I know where things have been for such a long time. You do concede that are accepting where we are because of our owners and not because of FFP issues. We don't want to inject money. But our FFP issues are because of the owners. Like if Glazers were willing to pay off the loans, that would improve our PSR position. They're not willing to. If the Glazers would sell more of the club, we would be in a better situation. But they have to do that. There's nobody can force them to do anything, right? So at the minimum, that's the truth. There's a factor of it that's because of our owners. Our financial limitations are 100% because of, well, I wouldn't say 100% because they are 100% because of the owners, but they're because of what the owners have spent and what the owners have not done and all of that. But they're still the owners. I can't do anything about that. That's what they are. They're the owners. And we can't, and so that's what's put us in that situation. They own the damn club. Saying he bailed them out is just wrong. You're just spouting Goldbridgeisms when you do that. It's just nonsense. He didn't have to sell. They didn't have to sell to anybody. They just didn't. They could have easily sold to an equity firm that would have done significantly worse than what we're doing well. There was no full sale on the table. There was no full sale on the table at all. It just wasn't. They still own the damn football club. So, what we've got instead is some things that are better, some things that are improved, some things that are just getting there, some things that are going the right way. There's nobody who can force a full sale. Good luck with that. Good luck forcing people to do a full sale. Good luck with that. I wish it was the case. It's what everybody was pushing for, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen at all. They would have sold a minority stake to, there was Redbird Capital and some others that are significantly worse. But anyway, that's what I'm saying is that's why I am who I am. That's why I think what I think. I know where we ended up. I know where we are. I know what the finances were. I said back, 6 months ago when we were starting to let go of more staff and people were saying, this is awful, we can't treat people this way, we can't do this and that, I said to you on these videos, well, if we don't, we're not going to spend any money this summer. You know what I mean? We won't have anything to spend this summer. We won't have any business to do this summer. So again, it's about if you accept where we are or where we've come to as a club, it'll bother you less, I think. I guess it doesn't make the situation any better, but it will bother you less. That's the truth of it. I've done the same. Had the same stance for over 6-9 months and everything like that. That's all. But it just takes some effort to be informed. That being said, they've got to pull off something decent. Something decent. All right, I'll delete yours too. Goodbye. You can't just keep using the excuse to accept where you are. Yes, you can. You can literally just excuse it. Not excuse it, but you can actually accept where you are. Like, instead of being blindly delusional, that's what you can do. You can be blindly delusional or not. But yeah, that's where I accepted we were at the end of the summer, at the end of the window, at the end of the season, I should say, and that it would be rough. I said at that time when I made videos that I thought we'd get something like Delap, Dibbling, and Trafford, and that would be our summer. So, yeah, I had already accepted that. That's okay. Like again, you could talk about a few different topics. That doesn't mean, right? Acceptance of where we are is not acceptance of failure. Acceptance of where we are is just taking an honest look at what happened over the last. But one of the reasons why I believe people can't do it, I'll tell you why I believe people can't do it. Because 3 years ago, when we hired Erik ten Hag because he polled better among fans, people clapped and cheered and sang. A year ago, when we kept Erik ten Hag because of fans, people cheered. 3 years ago, when we signed Antony for 80 million, people clapped and cheered when we should never have done it. And we tore up the lists from all our recruitment to go back the manager and sign a bunch of players and dump 300 million in as a club. When we did that, the majority of this fan base cheered and clapped and loved it and thought, now we're a serious club. Now we're backing the manager. Now we're really acting like we're supposed to. Those things killed us. And it is hard to accept when you've been really, really wrong about something. And it's hard to accept what happened at that point in time. It's hard to accept these types of things when these things go on. For all of us, every time people are been significantly wrong, it's so hard to turn around and say, shit. Because the reason we can't do business today is because of what we did 3 years ago. That's the reason. And what we did 2 years ago, and what we did 4 years ago, and even what we did last summer under Ineos, which, like I said, was a disaster. The first 3 months was absolutely horrendous. Huge, huge mistakes, unfortunately. That's the reason. That's the truth of it. And the same people who are the biggest critics right now were the biggest people cheering for the worst possible decisions the club has ever made over the last 10, 15 years. That's the amusing thing about it. And that's what makes it hard. That's what makes it hard. That's what makes it difficult. When we signed a manager and gave him 300 million because he was popular, we were running our club off of populism and giving tons of money on it, and people cheered for it and thought we were doing the right thing. It's hard to analyze things in terms of what happens now, what happens in the future. It's hard to see things when you're in them. It's definitely clearer after the fact. No doubt about that. No doubt about that at all. The irony of your comment, Aldi, is that you're still talking about Qatar when they're not real and didn't provide proof of funds for a bid. Do you not see the irony that you're still talking about Qatar on this discussion of not admitting you're wrong? You're still talking about a bid where the guy didn't show up and there was no proof of funds provided. Do you not see the irony? Do you have any self-reflection? There will be tough questions asked in Emran's first presser, and unfairly so. For sure. Well, hopefully they do ask, what are they doing to give you players? and all of that. Definitely, definitely, um, definitely there will be. For sure, for sure. Um, I said it was the owner's fault. Habits. I said it was the owner's fault. All right, let's get to it. Nicolas Jackson. Nicolas Jackson. I said on Saturday, Nicolas Jackson was a player that to keep an eye on. That is one United could end up turning to. That is one where, essentially, I could very much see coming forward in the coming days. Chelsea kind of offering him around a little bit. You saw the Club World Cup final the next day. Didn't play. Pedro played, D-Lap played, and somebody else played. Anyway, and Nkunku even played. At the time. And still, no Nicolas Jackson. He is clearly not going to be the guy at Chelsea. He's clearly got a good chance to leave the club there from Chelsea. And United are interested in him. They've been looking at him for a while. He's somebody that they've watched for quite a while. But I think strongly put that this is going to be something where it's a bit dependent on Garnacho. It's a bit dependent on Garnacho. It's a bit dependent on what happens there in that respect. So that's the reality of that situation. And let's see. Yeah, I mean, they're interested in him. I don't think he'll be 100 million. There was somebody else who spoke, and I think I talked about it yesterday, that I think he's actually a decent source. It's that Nabil guy, and he said as well on Saturday, I think it came out just after my video, that he would probably be about 60 million pounds, something like that as a price, and that United have inquired into him. And I said, I think that guy actually knows something. He was first on Euro. He said it right after my video as well, around the same time. I don't know, just around there. I just saw it. We all saw it yesterday or the day before or something like that. And we're interested in him. So the thing about it to me is that there's a couple of things. Let's talk about Jackson. It's pointless talking about it. I get it. If some of you don't like him, that's all good. That's fine. You're not gonna. I've gotten a different opinion on him when I look at just looking at some kind of data about where he is, and all of that. Let's take a look at some of this though. This is the guy who founded StatsBomb, I believe. Looking at his chart and things like that, and he's saying Jackson's PL last year was basically a tale of two seasons. The first half was fire, second half was ice cold, as was Cole Palmer's. Often when that happens, they're carrying an injury that has knocked them off stride. If I were analyzing Jackson, what I really care about is 23-24, which showcased the smoking hot shot map, excellent ball pressing, great movement to create a lot of shots through balls. This type of profile is fairly rare and is visible in the first half of 24-25. That dude is super valuable to the right team. So, anyway, this was his take on it. Is certainly his take on it was really positive. We looked at this the other day, and Jackson he's a good player. I mean, he is a good player. He's fairly similar to Ollie Watkins as a profile. Runs the channels really well. Plays the ball really well. Gets other players involved really well, does a lot of that stuff really well, quite creative, good at a lot of things. What is he bad at is finishing. He's in the 44th percentile for goal conversion. He's not great on that. So yeah. At Hoyland. He's yeah. I think he's kind of like young Watkins to me in a lot of ways. Oh yeah, we could look at Jackson's previous season if you want to do that. In a lot of ways he's like young Watkins to me. He's a good player. Let's look at Ollie's other season. All right, Hold on, let me see. Let's look at their previous seasons, just out of curiosity. Again, a good all-rounder, a good player in general. His finishing was a little bit better that season. Um, he's slightly below average as a finisher. Here's Mateta. That's a good one to compare him to. Mateta is definitely the best finisher of these three, but offers you a lot less in other areas. Jackson is a good play. He's a good footballer. Again, this is one where he's kind of like it's kind of like Darwin Nunez. All right. Do we really need another striker who can't finish? I mean, that's a good question. That is a good question.
Do we really need another striker who can't finish?
That is a good question. I don't know if I don't have an answer to that, man. I don't think not finishing is technically Højlund's problem. He doesn't shoot. You can't, if you can't shoot, you can't finish. I don't think finishing is our main problem, actually. Hold on a second. Here's the thing, right? Finishing, whose main problem is finishing? Garnacho, terrible finisher, takes loads of pot shots. Okay, what's Højlund's problem? Not finishing. It's the fact that he never shoots, and the fact that he doesn't do anything else well either. So it's not really one or the other. Cunha is replacing Garnacho. A striker will replace essentially Højlund in that respect. So, Højlund's a good finisher, but bad at everything else. Exactly. We're kind of like, Højlund's actually an okay finisher, a decent to good finisher technically, but he literally never shoots. But no, I haven't just changed my mind on Jackson. I've been talking about Jackson for some time. I think he's a good footballer. In general. Do I think that Jackson's better than Ollie Watkins? No. Do I think that Jackson's better than Gyökeres? No. Do I think that he should be our top target? No. We should be going for Ollie Watkins. He's very similar to Jackson, but he is more consistent as a finisher, and all of that. Like I said, I think there's a lot of people who won't rate Jackson, and a lot of people who actually do. But it's a very interesting one. And bearing in mind, he's only had 2 seasons in the Premier League. He's real consistent, 15 goals and assists player, which is decent. He's overall, I think, above average, a decent player. But the big question to all of this, and really for me, the marker with all of this, is Alejandro Garnacho. That's the thing. That's the thing that, it essentially, how would I say it? Like, that's the thing that essentially determines the whole deal for me on this, right? If, as I said on Saturday, if Jackson is a player where you go for him because you're going to let Alejandro Garnacho go to Chelsea, and Chelsea are making an offer for Garnacho. They're not going to buy him unless we get a player. Then, like they did with Nkunku, then it becomes a better deal to me. It becomes a more sensible one. It becomes one that starts to make a bit more sense. If we were to spend a lot on Jackson, it would be because they'd spend a lot on Garnacho. That's how I would see it. That's how I would wash it, and that's what would make sense to me. It's something where you get it's the type of deals we should be doing, where the fee almost doesn't matter. We could go sell Garnacho for 30 to 40 million somewhere else, or maybe we sell him for a better fee to Garnacho, and we get Jackson for a similar price. That still benefits us significantly on the PSR front. Again, because you take sales instantly, you take purchases over the span of 5 years. Would Jackson, Cunha, and Mbeumo help us get back into Europe? Yeah, I mean, Jackson helped Chelsea get back into Europe, so obviously he's good enough as a striker to help your team get back into Europe. He was a main striker this season. He got them into Champions League position. So clearly, he's good enough as a striker to get you into the top 5, because he literally just did, right? if you surround him with other good forwards as well. And he was a big contributor to Chelsea's to Conference League and then into the Champions League. It was not Palmer was a one-man show. Palmer had a pretty mediocre second half of the season as well. There's other factors in terms of Chelsea getting where they are, but Jackson was the starting striker in a team that just got into Champions League. So obviously you can, and all of that. So it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one for me on that. Thank you, Manchukutioner. Good to see you. It really depends to me on the whole Garnacho situation. As I said before, if you were to, I say main man because he was the main striker. Main man as in he was the 9. Yeah, but the last open play goal Palmer scored in the season was in January. Exactly. Like, again, Palmer's had a really good run in this Club World Cup thing and all of that, but he had a pretty slow second half of the season when they climbed back. Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
Which would you prefer, 40 mil swap or 60
million
swap?
60 million just does more for us. It makes almost no difference. Whatever the price is, it makes almost no difference. So, yeah. Jackson was pretty much good until his injury, essentially. He had a hamstring injury and slowed down, which is what that tweet said, to be fair. In general, that he kind of slowed down and then he was carrying an injury, and then since then it wasn't so good. But yeah, that's just the truth of the situation. Would I take him? Yeah. Would I take him if it was to get Garnacho out? Absolutely. Would I prefer us to do a similar type of deal with Aston Villa for Ollie Watkins? 100%. As we saw, there was a report today from the Daily Mail that Villa are interested in Watkins. Calm down. Everything's okay.
Are we selling Ras? If yes, we shoot GT better than NJ.
It sounds like it's going to get harder and harder to sell Rasmus Højlund. Lowry says now that Inter are no longer interested in Rasmus Højlund. So that kind of sucks. Selling Højlund was always going to be very difficult. So it seems like we're stuck with him in that respect, at least for a season. So yeah, we've got to get a striker in. But that does mean, of course, if next year we weren't going to be able to sell we were able to sell Rasmus next year, we could get another striker as well coming in. There's maybe some reports about other clubs. I saw that about AC Milan, maybe Saudi or something coming in for him, but we're going to have to wait and see on all of that. So, this is a real target, Jackson. He is a real target. He is. We'll see what they're offering. If Aston Villa are to offer some type of similar deal, then I would definitely prefer Ollie Watkins. I think he's a better player. But again, profile-wise, that's to me slightly encouraging in that we're looking at very similar type of profile of players. Look, if Rasmus is the third choice striker and gets to rotate in, and he has a decent season where he plays limited minutes and scores some goals, it might just help his value as well to move him on later, which might be our only hope on the matter. Emi Martinez, and that kind of brings me to Aston Villa. Oh yeah, I always do forget. Please do like the video. We've been talking for a while. 1,250 people here, 168 likes. We can definitely do better than that. We could definitely do better than that. And then that kind of brings us to the situation on
Afghan is going to kill us.
Afghan's going to kill. Yeah, that is a little bit of a concern. We'll talk about that. It's a little concerning. So as I said, I would do a lot better if we were to do this with Aston Villa to send Garnacho there for Watkins or something. Now, the Emi Martinez deal. The Emi Martinez deal I'm suspicious of this one because where we were at is we'd only had a base contact with his agent, um, and it had been pushed a month ago. Like we were on the verge of making a deal, we were in talks, yada yada, and that wasn't true at the time. Um, if we sign Mbumo and if we sign Mbumo and Onana, then is still our main keeper. Afcon will be different. Also, Nicolas Jackson does play for Senegal, so yeah. If we were to do that, that would be a little more difficult. Um, Jackson is a much better channel runner than Ekitike. That's why it's a difference. Yeah, this one was like there was a lot of stuff being pushed on this, and then it got pushed back on. And Ahmad and Mazraoui. Yeah, we have potentially a lot of African players that will go to Afcon here. We do have potentially a lot of them. Yeah, this one was pushed for a while, and I said it was suspicious to me, and it's still suspicious to me. It feels opportunistic a little bit because we've just had an injury, obviously, to Onana. So if you're going to start pushing rumors of a keeper to United, now is the time. However, we've had quite a bit of news on goalkeepers. So do I think it's the thing is though, it's a very good source on Argentinian players, but I looked at some Aston Villa accounts and they were saying that the same source has said a lot of stuff on Emi Martinez over the last 2-3 years about him leaving to different clubs that has never really materialized. So yeah. I'm not sure on this. The reason I'm not sure on this is that I don't think there's any world where we go pay 30 million or something like that for a keeper right now, especially with the wages that he's on and the money situation we have. Now, that being said, where I could see us getting Emi Martinez is if it opens the door to other news. And by the way, Emi Martinez shares an agent with Estupinian. So it's been being both of those players have been linked to us over a month ago. And
does Jim make a majority ownership move in August?
Let's find out, John. Let's find out, John. Let's see. We're just gonna have to wait and see on that. We're gonna have to wait and see on that. But yeah, both Estupinian and Emi Martinez share the same agent and have been pushed by the same journalist for over a month now. So I'm pretty dubious of both links at this point in time. It feels rather obvious to me because like the links on the outside feel pretty obviously bait to me. That suddenly we're getting, the same day, Estupinian again and Estupinian again and Emi Martinez stuff. I don't know. And the Estupinian one doesn't really make sense to me. We just got in another young left back. We just got a left back in January. I don't know. They don't totally make sense to me. They didn't make sense to me at the time. They don't make sense to me now. So I'm suspicious. However, where the Emi Martinez one could come into play is because there is an interest in him, and if we were to approach Aston Villa on Emi Martinez, then if it opened the door to, do you guys want Garnacho? Do you want to bring in Ollie Watkins? And it was able to do a deal there, then it would start to make sense. If we were able to sell Garnacho for 50 million to Aston Villa and bring in Emi Martinez and Ollie Watkins for a total of 60 to 70, that's a great deal to me. That's something that would improve us pretty dramatically and get a couple of good players. So it would have to be something like that, I think, to make this kind of deal work. I don't think that's what's happening, though. I don't think that's what's happening, though. I think that is kind of an unlikely outcome. It would be a good outcome. But I don't think that's what is happening yet. let's do that. So, forget about swaps. Think about paying. Think about paying and things like that as well. I would take that deal. So I'm looking at Garnacho options, and I'm thinking there's Watkins and Emi Martinez, and there's Jackson. These are two clubs that are interested in Garnacho that could give us players that would improve us, that would help us. So maybe there'll be something in that, but I don't think as of yet there's anything advanced on the Martinez things. I don't think. There wasn't before. I kind of doubt it now that is the case. I think it seems doubtful, at this moment time. At this moment of time, it does seem doubtful that there's anything much in it. Then there's other goalkeepers. The more likely plan here for goalkeepers is that Vitek gets sold. There was interest in him there. There was a report today from a club looking at him. What was the club? Shit. I'm gonna get it wrong now. What was the club that was interested in him? There's a report of a club interested in him today. It's what club is it? Sturm Graz. Sturm Graz are interested in him. The Austrian club that are interested in Vitek. Sturm Graz are interested in him. Yeah. Andy Mitten said he's just viewed as not ready. That seems to be the view of a few people around. So maybe he'll be sold or sent out on loan again or something like that. But if he's not viewed as ready, he's not viewed as ready. I would hope he gets a chance in preseason to see. You never know. But if he's not viewed as ready, then maybe that's a landing spot for him. I think that the two names that keep coming up, we got links from Belgium, I think, and we got links again more on this as well. Is John Victor? John Victor and Lemens still continue to seem like the two most likely targets on this front in terms of who we might go for this goalkeeper. I think both of those are more likely than Emi Martinez at this stage in time. If you get someone like John Victor and you move Vitek on, and then you see how Eli Harrison develops, that's probably a decent plan in general. So yeah, that's the question there. But yeah, I think both of those are more likely than Emi Martinez. There's also the factor, by the way, I forgot about this, that we can kind of move on to strikers here, that Aston Villa are also interested in Nicolas Jackson. So what if Jackson goes to Aston Villa, Villa sells Watkins, Garnacho goes to Chelsea, and we do a three-way?
Ooh,
that would be probably the ideal situation.
If Chelsea want Garnacho, we should ask for Andrea Santos.
They're just not going to sell him to us. I don't think they're going to sell him to us. So I don't disagree, but that's just not. I just don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, maybe if we do a three-way, it's better for everybody. Just pump that PSR for everyone. 60 million for Jackson, 60 million for Watkins, 60 million for Garnacho. Boom, boom, boom. They need to sell. They get PSR. We get PSR. Everybody gets PSR. That's another possibility, that could kind of work. It's a good deal. I mean, we need to Americanize these ideas and get creative a little bit. Three-way trades happen in the NBA every single day. All right. We need these. We need these three-ways. We need some creativity. We need some, like spark coming into us. We need somebody to, get a little, creative.
Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
7-way
One
trade.
One thing is clear is we cannot compare United window to Pool, Chelsea, City, Castle. They're better managed, better financial planning. It's going to take 3 summer windows till we make similar moves. We're clearing Blazem SRN.
Yeah, maybe not 3 because we're such a big club. If we're in Europe, I could see us spending not similar to Liverpool, but next year. You know what I mean? One of the reasons, obviously, Liverpool can go insane right now is they didn't buy anybody last summer. They only bought Chiesa, and then they won the league. So now they have like 300 million to spend where they'd usually spend like 150, 150. We can't do that. We probably won't be able to do that next year, but we could probably have a good 250 next year if we're back into Europe. So yeah, I think when we're back in Europe, we can start to compete on those fronts. You know what I mean? If we'd gotten because look, if we'd gotten Champions League, then we'd probably have Gyökeres today. We'd have Cunha today. And probably we'd be getting Mbumo done as well. And it'd be like, we would. I mean, it was Fabrizio confirmed. That was like 99%. If United had Champions League, Gyökeres would have been signed immediately. So it's a money situation. And he didn't want us after we missed out. He didn't want us after we missed out on Champions League. So if we're not back in Europe for several years, then yeah, I mean, if we miss out on Europe again next season, we'll still have probably a similar budget to what we have this summer, 120, something like that, depending on if we get any more sponsorships and other revenue streams coming in. We'll have Casemiro gone, Sancho gone. I mean, 120 million is decent as well. But then we'll have to, we just have to get things right. Unfortunately, we're going to have to. I mean, look, 120 million net spend per year should be enough to get you into Europe. When you look at the average spend by clubs, it's not in one summer, but it's like 120 million should be enough to get you back into Europe. I think that would still put you in the top 5 net spends per season. Yeah, Maguire wages and fee come off. Casemiro wages and fee come off. Sancho wages and fees come off. Like, if we don't sell him this year, you know. It will be easier to move anybody else. Like if we were not having sold Rashford, if we hadn't sold Antony, if we hadn't sold Højlund, if we haven't sold Onana. A lot of those bad deals that we have on our plate get a lot easier to shift. So we'll have a similar budget, 100, 125 million plus any further outs. But it should be enough. It should be enough to get back into Europe. If you're run correctly, then it should be enough. Like, that's where I'm at. We still, with the controls that have been done, it should be enough to be getting us back into Europe, the budget that we have now. And then once we're back in Europe, enough money to take that further step. That's what I'll judge these guys on. That's what I would judge these guys on. But let's talk about the striker here. Where's Vivel? We've been signing Diego Leon, you know, Enzo Canabic, you know, that's Vivel. Who do you think that Red Bull and such were buying and then shifting and then buying and shifting? They're buying cheap players, not expensive players. They're buying cheap players, cheap young players, and then flipping them up. Like, that's Vivel's job. Vivel's not going to be the guy who's buying other 50 million pound players. He's buying young players. Like, that's the model. That's what he does, and we should get more, but he's doing his job, I think.
Everything's okay.
Based on our current squad, what are your expectations for the season?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm more optimistic than most people, because I think that, again, we will improve a lot in general. But if we do not get at least one more forward signing, then I think 8th is the highest we could finish. Because I just don't think we have I just don't think we have enough goals in the team. If we get at least Mbumo, I think we could finish in 6th. I think if we get a striker as well, then I think we can finish 5th. Maybe even a little higher, but that would seriously depend on what happens with some of these other clubs as well.
Calm down, everything's okay.
Or win a cup.
Are we actively trying to sell other players in the squad apart from the 5 we know about? Because if we aren't, that's disgraceful.
We are. But it's different. It's different. It's just a bit different. We did not refuse the Bruno money from Saudi. He um, he didn't want the move. He didn't want the move. You know, he didn't want the move. That United were never going to force Bruno to go to Saudi. Like that's, I'm sorry, but that, like you could say that they should have. I don't think they should have. No matter what the situation is, maybe not no matter what, but like honestly, like I don't think that forcing Bruno to go to Saudi is ever. I don't think that would be okay. I don't know. I don't think that would be okay. I just don't. It was in his hands. If he wanted to go, they would go. I'm sorry. I just don't. The manager wanted to keep him. He didn't. You can't. If you force him out, then you're saying, hey, we hire Ruben Amorim, player he really likes, Bruno, who adjusted a lot over the course of the season and improved and has been a captain and one of the most important players at United. We're going to force him out the door to Saudi. I'm sorry, but there's things that I don't think United should do no matter what. One of them is things like that. The other one are the things like selling off pieces of the club to other people and stuff like that. There's certain things that I don't think we should do. I just don't think that that's fair. Yeah, I just don't. I just don't think that that would be right in that respect. So, all right. So here's my question on this sort of striker pivot. One of the things that we've seen is a couple little pieces of news that are almost like soft launches. Nicolas Jackson, um, Vlahovic being offered to us. There was another one. There was another thing that came up recently. Anyway, some reports, and so
calm down. Everything's okay.
People forget that by having one game a week and seeing how fit our players came back, is like a signing on its own. Wait and see.
I agree with that take.
Calm down. Everything's okay.
Why didn't we get a real Doff instead of Wilcox?
I've got no idea. I think Wilcox is fine. I don't think that's the issue. I think the planning is okay. I think people I think people are pinning things on people, just the public names that are making their assumption of, but you don't really know what is happening. Like it's very easy to say, oh, it's Wilcox's fault, or it's this guy's fault that this is happening or that's happening. And that's just an assumption, it's just an assumption. We don't really know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I can't say for sure. He wasn't hiring from within. He was brought in to be that. I mean, he's extremely highly rated. He was brought in to be that way, to be that person. But we've had a few things on the striker front recently, and when I look at it, I go, like I said, my view on it was this week. You don't see progress on Mbumo. It's Tuesday now. We're pretty damn close to my deadline, where I say my personal deadline. It's a meaningless, arbitrary deadline, but one that I've set, where I've said, look, we've got Saturday. We have a game in a week from now. We have to travel. If we're not getting something done, then it's time to move on to somebody else. And I think that this is where we should move on to somebody else. If this is still stuck, and the report this morning, or what Ornstein said, was certainly not encouraging. Certainly not encouraging that it hasn't moved in a few weeks, which it obviously hasn't. That we're still apart on the deal, which obviously we are, or we wouldn't, or we'd have a deal. It's time to move. It's not like we can't come back for Mbumo later on. Either we're willing to pay the price, or it's time to move on to somebody else. And I think that we should then potentially just move to a striker. We need the striker anyways. And we've kind of get there. We've got to get somebody like that.
Calm down. Everything's okay.
Let's be honest, this regime didn't overspend and buy the wrong players for the last 10 years. Will take years to get back to a sustainable future and a lot of right purchases as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I completely agree. I do think, well, I wouldn't say I don't think. I know that they're having they have other alternatives lined up. They have other players that they could go for lined up. They have other people they could push offers for. But yes, Brentford are now asking for 70 million, you know? And now apparently that's the price. Like, it's kind of silly. You read like from Laurie and people, and they keep referencing the Tottenham bid, but they rubbished that bid. Laurie and Ornstein already rubbished that bid. But now it's apparently they're pointing to this fake bid as the price. Like, they are messing with us. Now, and Brentford just sold a quarter of their club, and I do wonder about that.
Everything's okay.
People just don't realize how bad the Glazer mess is. They sold us when we were at the brink of collapsing. We're a big club with no money in the bank, that's Glazer's doing. Yeah. And then there's players with insane wages.
Yep, totally correct, totally correct. So should we pay 70 million for Mbeumo? Well, I think that's the decision that has to be made here, like today, because that would make sense to me, because I heard 65 is what they were willing to offer. If the price changed then and it went from 65 to 70, then that's another bump up on the price, and it's like, well, do you go for 70 and then they ask for 75 next time? You know, is it just going to get worse and worse? Should you pay 70? Potentially, but no, I think we're at the point now, today or tomorrow, where you just bid it, or you walk away and you go put 50 million on for Watkins, or you ask Chelsea for a deal where you say, hey, we'll buy Jackson for 50, you buy Garnacho for 50. Like, what do you say? They need to do that. One of those things, you know, at this point in time.
Everything's okay.
What's funny is Nicolas Jackson is not a bad footballer, it's his finishing that's the problem. Pair him with Kuna and Mbeumo, those three can work. He is far better than Hound, and I actually think he's better than Delap.
Yeah, I agree as well with that, by the way.
Everything's okay.
You don't need to worry about Bruno playing out of position if you don't sign Mbeumo. Striker and midfielder instead might be better anyway.
Well, that's true. Emoji. That's true. That's true. If you walk away from it and you buy a striker, you have an option now. Return for Mbeumo and play Bruno deeper if they come down to a more reasonable level of their price, or get a midfielder after you make some sales and then keep Bruno further forward. You have a choice if you go get a striker. That's personally why I would have liked to get a striker in general. In the first place, is that we should have, you know, that's my view on it, is that's what I would like to do. You know, that we should have got a striker in the first place. So you know, that's yeah. Anyway, that's my view on it too. If you get a striker, it gives you it gives you flexibility in the market, and it gives you flexibility in that position, whether Mbeumo comes down or you move to a forward and all of that. So, yeah, that's a question there. That's a question there to me. But this is a question, is whether this is the time to pivot. In my mind, it's a time to pivot. It's a time to move. Like I've said, all else aside, everything we've discussed in this video, everything we've discussed from start to finish, everything, right? I don't think it's acceptable on the first team transfer side of things to go into preseason with one player signed.
Calm down.
Especially when we need 3 goal scorers. Does Amarim have an issue with Sancho? The club have an issue with Sancho. That's the thing. The club and him are not going to get on. And he doesn't want to play for us. Yeah. That's all. Some of the public stuff, things like that, you know, it's just not going to work. It's not particularly Amarim. It's just in general. It's just not going to work. between the club and him. You're right, he's the only one he hasn't seen, but yeah, it's just not going to work. But yeah, no, like I said, I don't think it would be acceptable to bring in only one player by preseason,
calm
by the
down.
tour.
Everything's okay.
I like Samu from Porto, but probably too expensive.
Yeah, I really like Samu as well. I really like Samu as well. I still really do wonder that Brentford sale of a quarter of their club that went through today, if that has been affecting the price point on the deal or not. I mean, it's really hard to know how a sale of a club affects transfers and things like that. So I don't know. I just wonder about that a little bit as well. Too that I don't know, but that could be a consideration. Yeah, for less money. I know, and that's where it's like, I don't know. But are they just asking for more money because now with the investment, they can? You know what I'm saying? They can ask for more. Now, Amari Hutchinson, isn't the Amari Hutchinson clause expiring in 1 hour? Somebody said something like that. Did I miss the time on this? Is that not expiring in 1 hour? I swear somebody said this. That the Hutchinson deal was be expiring in an hour. Why is Mbuma not pushing strongly for the move now or never if he wants to move? That is also one of the factors. As I said, they kind of need him to push on it and do something about it. And yeah, he just seems to not. That was also acknowledged in the transfer deal sheet thing, that his attitude and training, things like that, could have a concrete impact on the situation, as well. And seemingly, if he's not going to push, that's going to make the deal pretty difficult. Oh, it expired 4 hours ago. Okay, so I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's concrete enough yet to say that they're ready to sell Mbeumo or something like that. The owner got money for his share, not investment into Brentford. That's fine. I get that. But I don't know how their club is run. We don't really know. It's not a public club. So we don't really know. There might be other things involved in that. I don't think Sheshko will be ours. I don't think Sheshko's a target for us, to be quite honest. But yeah.
Calm down. Everything's okay.
Useless club. We finished 15th and only signed one first-team player. Absolutely ridiculous. If Jim knew he didn't have the money, why buy the club? Broke billionaire. I miss the Qatari.
Okay. Okay. Cool. The Qatari should have bought the club then. I don't know what to tell you. It's good rage bait. It's good. That was really good. That was really good. That was good rage bait. Excellently done. Cool. But thank you for the $10. I appreciate it. That was good stuff. That was really good. Yeah. Anyway, so we've talked about Jackson. We've talked about Emi Martinez, other goalkeepers. We've talked about the striker. We've talked about all of that. Okay. Yeah, I spoke about my feelings on the matter as well. I told you what I kind of expect on this whole thing and why I think United will be doing better than they did last season, kind of regardless. Again, I look. There's nothing to talk like. There's if we were to only discuss first team transfers, then if that's the only thing, one, we'd have nothing to talk about. Two, like we genuinely have nothing to talk about because even in a good summer, we might sign 3 over the course of the whole summer. You know what I mean? Some good players.
Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
I still don't understand why Sir Jim, who is a supposed fan of the club, bought the club but doesn't have money to buy players. We need to sell to someone who can invest in the club. Ineos are broke.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to change it. I'm gonna have to change the audio because my own voice is starting to irritate me as well. Cool, thank you. Look, it has nothing to do with how much money he has, Adewale. They've maxed out the investment on the PSR, and yeah, that's all. They've maxed it out. They've maxed it out. I've got nothing else to say about it. They've maxed out the investment that they can do at this point in time. David, welcome to the Pro Muppet. Thank you. But no, look, like I said, if there was only first team transfers to talk about, one, there'd be nothing to talk about most of the summer. Two, you don't get paid when you have to listen to that. That's funny. It's funny. If I hear calm down, everything's wait, hold on. I can change it while we're here. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna change it. I'm actually just gonna get rid of it because I have a new idea that I want to put in place. I just need to do it. So I need to find the audio correctly to put it in there. So give me a minute. I'm gonna remove my audio part of it. I'm still gonna have it read out, but I'm gonna remove my audio part of it because it's absolutely driving me nuts now as well. Hold on. I'm just gonna do that. It's gonna take me like 2 seconds. No. Undo. It's the audio I want to remove. There we go. There we go. All right. I'm going to remove my audio from it. Okay. And I'll find something else. I'll find something else to put in terms of audio there. Look, we're spending as much as we can. If we had only first team to talk about, like transfers to talk about, then that would be crap. There are other things to talk about. There's the youth investment, which I think is going very well. There's the youth training and the players that are potentially making their way into the first team, which there are things to talk about there. There's the training and all of that itself. As I said before, with all the takes on Ruben Amorim.
THX for the donations, guys.
Cool, thank you. There we go. It works.
Cool face emoji.
Cool face emoji. Cool face emoji. All right. Sorry. I'm just dying, man. I'm just dying. Oh my god, the ads on this website are crazy. All right. Some of the takes on Ruben Amorim, like, would he want more players as of today? For sure. There's no doubt about that. But I also believe that people really still don't really get the Ruben Amorim thing, like who he is. Legally, can't Jim put 90 million over 3 years? He already did.
We have to stop being so sentimental. If not, we will never get back to the top.
No, I don't agree. I think that there's things we will get back to the top. We can get back to the top done right. I don't think we need to do things like that in order to get where we need to be. Yeah, nobody's talking about the game. Like, if you look at this, for example, and you look at Ruben Amorim when he came into Sporting, look at all of the players who left. his first summer.
Oh, calm down. Everything's okay.
Thank you. If you look at all of this, these are all the players who left in that summer, right? Now you have all this crazy stuff with ends of loans. This is what he got. Okay, as a first team transfers. This is what he got in his first summer for a club that didn't win a title in 19 years. It sounds familiar. This is what he got that first summer. Ruben Amorim is a manager who is brought in to improve the players. Okay? Brought in to improve the players. Everybody has to recognize that if we can't improve players, we are screwed. I've said this before. We've got to be able to improve players or we're screwed. There are players who won't improve, and there are players who absolutely will. If I go from start to finish, Joshua Zirkzee, Amad Diallo, Lani Yoro, Kobe Mainu, Aiden Heaven, Patrick Dorgu, hell, Diogo Dallo, Manuel Ugarte, Bruno improved under him as well. There's a lot of players that would.
PSR space no capital.
Redco setup means lots of PSR space. What is that question? I don't understand that question. Oh, Redco setup means lots of PSR space, no GABA. Yeah, it doesn't really change the financial position. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really change the financial position. There's a lot of players who improved.
We are not Sporting. Stop comparing what Amorim got at Sporting to what he is meant to get in here. At least give him a chance with some decent players. Not these overpaid W anchors.
Thank you for the money. Thank you for the money. I didn't say that W anchors is good. Thank you for the money. I didn't say we were Sporting. I didn't say he was that we're Sporting. I didn't say you shouldn't get some good players. We have to be able to improve players when they join Manchester United. Like, do people not get that? I actually have a question for you. All right, here's the thing. Let's end this poll. I genuinely want to know. I think it's a minority of people who just don't get this. We spent $1 billion. We spent more than anybody else in football from 2014 to 2022. Do you understand that? We didn't win anything. What does that tell you? What is the lesson to be learned from that? That is the question I want to know.
SJR could spend and invest if Glazers give equity.
Yes, that is correct. If the Glazers would give equity, then the selling would help to invest. This is a simple poll. Do you think a club needs to improve players to win? Any club? Yeah, the votes are pretty obvious there. What's the lesson to learn from Chelsea? Nothing. You guys are acting like hold on a second. All right, let's pause for a second. Let's all pause for 1 second. How much have Chelsea spent in transfers? How much have Chelsea spent on transfers in the last 3 seasons? How many? How much have they spent? With this Chelsea lovin'. All right? This Chelsea lovin', okay? All right, here we go. Let's take a look. Chelsea have spent 989 million euros since 23-24. Since 22-23 to now, what have they spent? 1.6 billion. And $1 billion in net spend since they bought the club. What have they won? What have they won? A Conference League, and they got into Champions League.
Baited like the rest us, LOL.
Yeah, I am. $1 billion net spend to win the Conference League.
Will be released tomorrow in the new kit on Twitter. Smiley face emoji. Smiley face emoji. Smiley face emoji.
Congratulations.
Smiley face
they
emoji.
won an invented summer tournament by FIFA this year. Amazing. $1 billion, €1 billion net spend over 3 seasons to win 2 made-up trophies. You realize the Conference League and the Club World Cup didn't even exist until 2 seasons ago. 2 competitions that didn't even exist before 2 seasons ago. Neither of them. Congratulations. You got on stage with Donald Trump to get a trophy. Well done for your $1 billion in spending.
At least Chelsea owners are showing ambition, and it's starting to show now.
We did better. We did better. No, you're saying they're moving up. How long have you been watching football? Chelsea have won titles in the last 15 years. They won titles before Bowley. They won titles before them. This celebration lap, because they've managed to claw their way back up to getting to qualifying for Champions League? Are you joking? What is this? What is wrong with you people? Have you watched football over the last 20 years? Chelsea have won titles before Bowley came in. They got 4th? They got 5th? Like, they won titles. This isn't some hugely successful campaign. They haven't done something incredible yet. They've done nothing. They've won Champions Leagues. They won Champions Leagues. They've won Premier League titles.
Smiley face emoji. Grimacing face emoji. Scared face emoji. Cool face emoji. Cool face emoji. Angry face emoji.
Thank you for that. They've won, like, they've spent $1 billion net to get 5th in the Premier League. 5th. If you think that is the model, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know. Look at Arsenal. Well, they spent 433 million euros to get 2nd. We spent more than them, and we're terrible. Like, they were better before Bowley. Now they've spent $1 billion, and they haven't won anything of note yet. The only club who's succeeding, like, this is the club that is the most successful besides City at the moment. And they're not there. They're not even in the top 6. They're 6th. They're 6th. It's not about how much money that you have to spend. It's not about that. It really isn't. I mean, obviously, the more you can spend, the better. There's no doubt about that. Nobody's denying that. Chelsea finished 12th 2 seasons ago, LMAO. Yeah. Do you think Sir Jim cheaps? I don't know why it's not reading.
Do you think Sir Jim cheaps out on the sandwich ingredients at the canteen? I bet he loves using some dildo, eyes emoji, baguette emoji,
dildo
to bake, of course. Do you expect significant movements this week?
Yes. Yeah, I do expect so. Yeah, they're trying, but they're just throwing money at the problem. They're just throwing money at the problem.
Come on, James, we gotta copy Chelsea Dare the blueprint. Let's sell the women off. Chelsea is the model, Chelsea is the model,
I know
Chelsea is
you're.
the
I know you're.
model.
I know those names are trolling.
What a lovely stream today, James. Like, mind blown emoji, angry face emoji, face with spiral eyes emoji, smiley face emoji.
Yeah, they are throwing money at the solution. We also won a Europa League, right? We also won FA Cups. We also won League Cups. So they haven't done anything we didn't do. You realize that, right? Like, Chelsea have not done anything we didn't do under the Glazers. This is why I say people really don't understand what success looks like either. As of yet, Chelsea have not done anything under Bowley we didn't do under the Glazers, which is throw money at the problem. Enough money you throw at it, it will get you back up to Champions League qualification. You know, it's the same thing. We won a Europa League. That's bigger than the Conference League. It actually existed 20 years ago. Well, 15 years ago. When did it get? It was anyway. It's existed for longer. They also got completely bailed out. They also have 12 players today they can't sell. So no, it's not the model. That's not the model. That's not where we're trying. They haven't yet. Chelsea's regime hasn't even matched Solskjaer in the Premier League yet. This isn't success. It's not success as of yet. It's nowhere
Anchor
near
emoji,
it.
anchor emoji, anchor emoji, anchor emoji, anchor emoji.
Oh, it cut off. It cut off. It got half your anchors in. This isn't success yet. It's not even close to success yet. We did exactly what Chelsea did, and
Deal. Are they just wanking each other up for the month? Who is negotiating? Ray Charles.
wonking. Oh, I see. You're avoiding the filter. That's good. That's clever. I like that. I don't know. To be honest. I never know why negotiations take a long time in general. That part I don't understand. Their manager's on the same page as the DOF club. Really? This manager? Because they went through like 6 managers until they settled on this manager, which now looks okay. Liverpool is the right model, unfortunately. Arsenal is the right model, unfortunately. I've said that for years, that is the case.
We all know Chelsea are heading in the right direction, but for us, since Ineos got in, we have gotten far.
Not sure what that was for. Thank you for that, though. And Steve, thank you for that, too. We've yeah, I mean, look, unfortunately, for years I've been talking about Liverpool. We've gotten worse. I don't think we've gotten worse. Unfortunately, like, I don't actually think we've gotten worse. In the table, we finished lower, but I don't think we've gotten worse. Don't tell me you wouldn't be creaming if we managed to get 4th next season. Yeah, but bearing in mind, if we had to do $1 billion net spend, it's going to take us 7 years to get back to 4th with the finances that we have. Remember that they also had the ability to forgive a massive loan from their war criminal owner previously, that allowed them to do an enormous amount of spending when they came in. I don't know if people remember the circumstances surrounding Chelsea's takeover, but they essentially got a massive bailout where they've been able to spend at an ungodly amount of money with no consequences and sell hotels and sell women's team and do 9-year contracts and shit like that. Like, it's just not something replicatable. It's also, as of yet, not successful. It's done very little relative to the amount of money spent. It's the worst investment so far. Now, in the long term, maybe it works out for them fine, but they won Champions League and they won Premier League titles without that. I mean, they still spent a lot under Abramovich, but they did do all of that before. So that's not the model. Liverpool, unfortunately, is the model, and a lot of what's going on today, people will not like. A lot of what's going on today looks a lot like what Liverpool's owners looked like when they came in. When they came into Liverpool, And in the end, it's worked out, but a lot of it is a reminder of that. And unfortunately, that's kind of where we are. I spoke about how I think we're at the part where, yeah, they lucked in the Club World Cup because of the crazy way that things are qualified, that for some reason City and Arsenal aren't in it, but Chelsea was. Like, okay, whatever. And got them a bunch of money. Liverpool did well with it. Arsenal did well with it. I've made that comparison before. We are where Liverpool were. Liverpool had this 15, 20-year stretch of not winning things, of before they used to be great. Then they weren't great for a long, long time. That's where we are. That's where we are today.
James, take care of yourself. Some United fans are angry and looking for a something/someone to direct their anger towards.
Of course. Yeah, sorry, City were in it. I said Liverpool and Arsenal weren't in it. Yeah, when Liverpool got taken over by FSG at the end of 2010, they fired their first sporting director within a year, correct? And it took them like 6 years to turn the ship around, right? When did they get Jurgen Klopp? When did he join them again? It took them a while to 2015, right? So it took them 4 or 5 seasons to turn things around as owners, right? And they were hated for some of the things that they did originally. I'm not saying it should take that long. I'm not saying that that's even necessarily acceptable. What I'm saying is that, there's things that happen. Qatar with PSG, it's been 12 years. 12 years or longer. It took them to get to Champions League, which was their main ambition when they started. Some of those things have taken a hell of a long time. Some of those things have taken a hell of a long time. But a lot of what's going on does remind me of how they started to kind of claw back a little bit under Jurgen Klopp. We have the reason it shouldn't take us so long is because we do have a bigger fan base, more money, more things. We do even have that ability. Like, you go back to those transfer windows. Oh man, let's go. I'm actually curious now. What did they spend, in those first couple windows to kind of get there? Before, obviously, they got a windfall from Coutinho, which accelerated things, but they were certainly already on the up and up, prior to that point in time. We have money. Like, I don't think they were necessary. Maybe they did do this. I don't remember. But, they bought a few significant players in the seasons before that. And their net spend was 50 million euros. They sold Suarez 14-15 for 90 million, for 81 million, something like that. Their net spend was 50 million. Let's see. In the next season, what was their net spend? And the next season, their net spend was 30 million. Some of those didn't work either. Like, Christian Benteke wasn't a good transfer in the end. Didn't really work out in the end. It was okay, but definitely wasn't great. They lost Sterling. Then they sold Benteke for half what they paid right away. Then they brought in Mane for 40 million euros. That kind of feels like a Cunha or an Mbumo deal. Getting a player like Mane in feels pretty similar in that respect. They brought in Wijnaldum. They brought in Karius and Klavan. That season, they had a negative transfer spend, right? So when I look at that situation, in general, the way I look at it is that that's kind of where we are. We're not competing. Liverpool, during those years, they were not competing with the biggest clubs in the market. I bet those seasons we were spending 150 to 200 million on players, and we were blowing everybody away in the market. I mean, what was our United transfers? They had a negative net spend that summer. What did we have? What did we spend that summer? I bet it was a lot. Yeah, we spent 156 million on Martial, Schneiderlin, and Depay, and Schweinsteiger. That was Schmidfield. All right, great. So we when they were doing less money, when they were spending less money, and we were blowing away everybody with our spending in the market, how did that work out for us? They were building something. We weren't. We were just floating at the top, in the top four, buying wasteful shit. And we spent so much money on that, on all of that. So it's not just about the money. It's not like it's gonna guaranteed work. It's about spending right, having the right person in place, improving. The fact of the matter is we need Amorim to be like Klopp for us. We do, given the situation. And we have to hope he is. We have to hope that he is somebody who really changes the culture, and it's not right away. We have to hope he is somebody who really changes the way that people, within the club operate. We have to hope he's somebody who actually improves the players who are there on the pitch. We have to hope that he integrates youth and that he takes some cheap gems, academy players, Trent, Robertson, etc., and bring them forward into the first team and turn them into special players. We have to hope he can do some of that. We do, because we need it at the moment. We need it. We do need that at the moment. And then we have to hope, in addition, for sure, that we supplement that with some key signings and some key players coming in who make a serious difference to the club. Do I think he's the right guy? Yeah. I think that's exactly why he was hired. That's exactly why I followed his career at Sporting, for a reason, because that's exactly what he did. And don't compare Sporting and United. Don't care. Point is, philosophically, and what he's done in his career, where he's at and what he did, it's all relative. If he had to take players who were threes and make them sixes in order to win a title at Sporting, and here he has to take players who are fours and fives and make them sevens and eights, it's the same story. It's the same job. It's the same idea. He's got to do that as well. And the better we can back him, the quicker that ride will be. But as long as he can do that, it is inevitable that we will improve. It is inevitable that we will improve over time. That's the fact of the matter. If we, as long as we are improving over time and those things are happening, we will get there. The speed in which that happens is down to how much money we can invest into the market, and in terms of how much we can give him and how many more players we can give him. If we can give him 4 top players in a window, then that's going to happen faster. If we can only give him 2, then it's going to take longer for that to happen. That's all. But it still has to happen for us to be successful. We're not going to get there in any way, shape, or form just by spending money. We're not going to. It's just not going to happen without all the other things happening. That's why I talk about all of those other things. That's why I talk about all the other things that need to happen, because none of that takes away from this fact of investment in the first team. None of it at all. None of it's an excuse for it. But I think what people don't maybe track with sometimes is that they're all necessary. We've tried, man. We've tried to just throw money at the problem. We've tried so much of that. I mean, even Chelsea in this whole Bowley period and all of that you want to talk about, one of the only reasons they can keep spending is that Chelsea's academy is one of the most successful in England way before Bowley got in there. It's been successful for 15 years at producing and pumping out talent and selling it and to create funds. If they didn't have the money that's come in from their academy players that they've sold over the last 3 years for pure profit, the Bowley project would be dead. They have tons of money that has come in via the Chelsea Academy that has nothing to do with Bowley. Nothing to do with it. We contributed to that. We gave him 60 million for Mason Mount. You know what I mean? Like, they've got players like that. Lots. If you look at they've sold so many players who come through their academy on 0 PSR deals that have funded the type of spending that they do, because Chelsea have had a successful academy that's been selling players for a long, long time, that has been producing tons of profit, that has this model that of loaning players out. They've been doing that since before Bowley. We haven't. We haven't done that. We haven't been doing that for a long, long time. So there's a lot of things that we need to do that we aren't doing now. When you see little announcements like, what was the thing today? You know, Ogonier has joined Newport County on loan for next season. These are still good things. These are still good things. Like, these are things that do matter. These are important things. The more of those things that we do, maybe that turns into another 5 million down the road, another this down the road, another this down the road, all sorts of things. That there. Now, yeah, they treat their players way more like assets than we do. I agree, David, and we've treated people better than that in the club. But still, they had that, and that's a part of what has backed this whole thing. So, I don't know. We certainly need more in the window. We certainly need to give Amram more tools, but it's really all about speeding the process up. The process is the process. I hope we speed it up, because the longer it takes, the more likely we fail in the process. The more likely the process doesn't work, the longer that it takes, the more likely the pressure gets to us, the more likely, lots of things that just we just fall behind. So we need to speed it up, but the whole process is there. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the reality. They've made almost 400 million profit on player sales. Yeah, a lot of that is from academy players and things like that. We've just not been able to do that. We haven't had that set up. But regardless, that's the reason I'm optimistic, is because I do believe completely and genuinely that there are things that are improving on the pitch from Ruben Amram, from the data, from the coaching, from the injuries, from the fitness, from all of that will raise the levels of the players, and people will come to United and develop rather than come to United and fail. That's what I think will happen. But we need more in the first team to accelerate that. Players who are already better will speed that up. But I believe that Amram's been brought in for that reason in specific, and that's why I think he's happier than probably people believe he is. We talked about Van Gaal the other day. Van Gaal was doing probably, or intending to do probably, what we're doing now. He was building a lot with youth, building a lot with development, continuing on a slow boat type of project. It was too slow for Glazers. It was too slow for Ed Woodward, and they cut the legs out of him. Now, I'm not even saying it was the right project, because it bored me to death. But he was a proper manager building a proper team in the way that he wanted to go, even if it wasn't the way that I would have gone philosophically. He was that. So, and then he gets the legs cut out from under him. It's no surprise. It was so boring to me, but yeah. But there's a reason why he did that. He was building what he wanted to build. He used a lot of youth during that time, which was fine, which was good as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'm consistent. I was gonna bring up, if you haven't watched it, I'll tell you to watch it. If you want to know where I am at, and you think, oh, you're changing on how you used to feel and things like that. Not really. Not at all, unfortunately. I wish I was. I was so worried about that final, and people were mad at me about it. Hold on. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Yeah.
Imagine the vibes if youth helps us do well.
Imagine the vibes if youth helps us. Yeah, it would be great. It would be wonderful. It would be wonderful. System managers need to back in fully off time. Yeah. But yeah, if you go watch that video that I made back then you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I made it before the final, just acknowledging where we were, and to me that was it. It was like, then from there on, I can kind of accept it. I'm not particularly going to get mad about things. Um, just try to comment on them as they are, you know. So all right. Well, I don't think I don't think we're got anything more to discuss today. It's been an hour and 45 minutes. I started a little bit earlier than I usually do, just because there was a lot, but I think that's it. Um, yeah. Let's just hope they do what they need to do now in terms of getting the football over the line. You know, getting a purchase over the line, because obviously, you know, again, it's like there's so many things to discuss. None of that changes that. Hopefully, we can get. They've got to get somebody over the line still. There's no doubt about that. That's up to them. Provide us with an option, because if they only provide him with one player, then it's going to be a long season. It's going to be real slow, and the ceiling that we can get to is going to be not that high. We've obviously got to get more players in to speed it up. I think that would be a failure for sure on their part to not do that. Your comment section on X is always a shithole. Do you read them? No. Twitter is the worst. I stopped reading Twitter comments a long time ago. I muted a bunch of accounts, blocked a bunch of accounts. I stopped replying, and doing anything on Twitter, and it's so much nicer. Makes it so much easier. I can handle things on live. I like talking. I don't mind comments here. I like talking. I like chatting. I like yapping over stuff. At least here, you know, there's a verbal discussion over things. And when I look at Twitter, it's like it's some random person saying, "Look at this chart you made 2 years ago. Look at the chart you made 2 years ago. That was a list of players linked to us by journalists that we didn't sign. Therefore, you don't know anything." Like, okay, all right, cool, thank you. No contexts. Didn't watch the video for the explanation. Just being stupid like that. That's what happens. You know what I mean? That's Twitter. It's like, all right, whatever. I've got no interest in that. That is for sure. It just gets boring. You know, and then I realized at one point I was like, you know what? 90% of these accounts on here are faceless, nameless accounts trying to be influencers that think they're important. If you're willing to put your face up, then at least there's something. You know what I mean? But you're using some player profile spreading hate constantly. Like, how stupid is that? I don't know. That's terrible. So it's good. Yeah, it's good for following the news, but absolutely zero interaction worth mentioning on Twitter. Outside of messages, I've got plenty of nice people that I know and talk to in messages. So lots of good people I've met in the United community there. But man, is it a bad place to talk. All right, guys, let's leave it there. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back at some point tomorrow. Let's see if United get a move on anything. Yeah, in that time, I guess we'll find out. Okay? Have a good one.